Hey everybody, and welcome to Experts Tell All. I am joined by the amazing Jelaire Grillo, and we were just laughing. I can't even pronounce her title because it's so long because she has too many accolades. So Jelaire, before I butcher it, what is your official title at Prosperity Home Mortgage?
Yeah, it is the AVP of MarTech Strategy and Adoption. It could also be Adoption and Strategy. It's sort of a running joke here. It could be either one, but regardless, those are all of the words that are in my title.
Regardless, you have the best title, aka you just do everything at Prosperity, which is literally the truth. Is you do so much at Prosperity, but one of the key things that you do is leveraging and optimizing the Total Expert platform. And so I'm really excited. One of the things we wanted to do today was really break down the evolution of your time leveraging Total Expert and how Prosperity has leveraged the system. So I know, kind of just setting the stage, we'll start here, right? You guys have been on the system for a really long time, right? You've been leveraging the platform, and within that journey, you're kind of bound to hit this place of like, okay, we see the adoption skyrocket, we see people start to leverage and get in the platform, but then like you kind of see this plateau of like, okay, there's really not much, additional gain that we're seeing. What's going on, right? We're kind of just staying stagnant. What do we need to do? Do we need to like kind of peel back the layers? And I think what's really cool and what I'm excited about today is we are going to take, there's a lot of amazing stuff. I think this has been like a 2-year journey that you guys have been on right now to really break this down. And what's cool about all of this and what I'm really excited about is showing the power of doing that. So you guys I think we could probably talk for a million stages that you guys have been through in breaking this down to really peel back the layers and figure out what works to help drive engagement of the platform. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to break this down into a few different bite-sized chunks that, folks, if you're listening, you're like, hey, I can consume this in small little pieces of content. So we're going to start today and just kind of talk and peel back the layer on phase 1 for what you did. So maybe Jelaire, in your own words, and just talk through, kind of set the stage again. Why did we do this? Where did we find ourselves at a couple years ago? And what was our first step? Like if I'm an admin saying, hey, I feel myself in the same situation. What do I need to do, right? What's that first step look like?
Yeah, so we realized in 2023 that our numbers inside of the platform from an engagement and adoption standpoint of view weren't growing. We did plateau, right? We kind of hit a wall. And so my team needed to take a step back and figure out, well, what can we do moving into 2024 to increase the adoption and engagement inside of Total Expert? So something that we decided to do was, let's get feedback from our leaders, right? And this was every leader, right? It's your regional, your divisionals, your, small teams to big teams. We really wanted to hear from everybody because we're not loan officers. My team is not, that's not what we do every day. We're just admins. And so if we want people to use the platform, it has to appeal to them. So let's start with the people who lead those teams. So what we did is we scheduled in the fourth quarter of 2023, we scheduled 30-minute sessions with every single sales leader. Wow. And now the first iteration of this, because we did it again last year, and because it's going so well, we're actually going to this year do one in the middle of the year and the end of the year. But with the first one, you don't really know what your end game is going to be. Yeah. So you go into those meetings, not necessarily with a format, but really just wanting to get feedback. Yeah. And the feedback centered around, what are their goals going into 2024? What do they want their teams to be focused on? What tools do they like? Which tools don't they like? Yeah. And when we were able to compile all of that information, what we quickly found was our leaders wanted to know more about our tech stack, our marketing tech stack. They didn't know enough, right? And so I, an admin or anybody in my position, we can go and we can train and we can teach and we can talk about the platforms all day, but we're not loan officers. We're not technically leaders of those teams. Yeah. And so how much weight do we really hold after they hear us for the 8th, 9th, 10th time? Mm-hmm. So the sales leaders were the ones who really drove us in the direction of approaching it from a top down look, right? So we, instead of us being the ones that are feeding the information to our loan officers, how about we train up our sales leaders so our sales leaders can be the ones that are the champions of the technology? And those meetings, when we got those meetings done and we came up with our plan, which we'll talk about in later sessions, but we came up with our plan, we went to the CEO and we said, this isn't going to work if we're not all bought in. This has to be a cultural thing. So we got buy-in from the top. We got buy-in from all of our sales leaders. And just by listening to them, we were able to formulate a plan moving forward and approach it from a top-down perspective.
That's interesting. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of, what you would do at any company, right? Like we do our yearly, and now you're saying you've grown into doing now mid-year reviews, right? Getting feedback from the field to understand what's happening. And would you say that is probably, like, if I was someone saying, hey, I don't even know where to start, is that step one? Like, just a schedule for ensuring consistent feedback and theming of like, what do you want, right? You're the user of the platform. You're the one that's actually going to be doing this, and starting with sales leaders.
Yeah, for sure. Because at the end of the day, the sales leaders need to become the champions.
Yeah.
If they're leading and they're leading with the technology, then our jobs become a lot easier. So it needs to come from the sales leader. And to be honest with you, before we started doing that, I don't think we had a spot for us to have those types of conversations with them, right? They're having those types of conversations, obviously, with our executive team. And a lot of that is about production and volume. But what about the tools that are helping them to get there? We weren't having those conversations. So we needed to, in order to formulate a plan. So if I were to do this all over again, I don't think I'd change how we started. We would start with those meetings and let those meetings be the catalyst for what we do next.
Yeah. I think a couple like themes that just come out of that is visibility. And also you're hearing that the salespeople actually want visibility into what's happening, more communication about the tech stack. And then also an interesting point that you brought up is being able to use that to then validate that to the CEO or to head leadership to say, hey, in order for this to work and for you to get the ROI that you want out of the money and dollars that we're putting into this technology, you have to be able to say, this is how we need to align. And what's cool about that is we're going to talk about this in the next 2 or so episodes, however many we need to do to kind of get through all these different pieces. But we're going to talk about the plan, right? And how you put all this together to actually create, here's our goals, here's our plan, but that's directly from the field. And you're able to say, hey, leadership, this is the only way we're going to get the bang for the buck, how much we actually are putting into the system, right?
Yeah. And I think I know we take for granted, right? So just by listening to them and then taking that feedback and allowing it to help us formulate our next steps, they become a part of that process. And when they become a part of it, they're more invested. 100%. So it was really, I don't think I changed anything at all. Now, obviously, as the years go on and we continue to add on to this, those meetings look different.
Yeah.
Every single time. The formatting of them changes, but that first one, we're just exploring. We're just trying to figure it out. Yeah.
And I remember you said on the first time that you tried this, it was, some people it's a little weird. You're like, okay, some people were like, yeah, I'm into it. Some people it's a little awkward. It's a little like, hey, what are we doing? But now you were like, hey, and now that we've done this a second year, people are like excited. They want to give their feedback. They're ready for it. They want to see how you can help and support their team. So I love the evolution of it. Like, yes, we kind of get over that hump, but also once you do, you'll really gain some momentum.
For sure. 100%. Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay. Well, we have much more to come. We're going to build on that. We're going to talk about, how do we build the plan from this? How do we execute that plan and an ongoing plan? So we're going to jump into that next session. But Jelaire, thanks for joining me. I really appreciate you chatting today.
Of course.